There is no expiration date on rediscovery sometimes. The second half of life is when your true story finally begins. They say when you grow older, people stop seeing you. You become background, furniture, a familiar shadow at the edge of the family portrait. But what happens when you wake up and realize the people closest to you weren't just ignoring you, they were watching? Lauren Bennett had always been solid, steady pair of hands, the keeper of calm. For 40 years, she guided students through the aisles of an old public library in rural Montana. She knew how to mend spines, both books and people. How to spot lies hidden between lines. Life had taught her how to read the quiet, but no chapter could have prepared her for this. Before we begin this journey, make sure to subscribe, like, and share this story. You never know who needs to hear that. It's never too late to take back your voice or your life. In the spring of her 66th year, Lauren moved in with her son, Adam, and his wife, Jessica, in a suburb just outside Portland. After her husband's death 3 years prior, the silence in her house had changed tone from peaceful to punishing. She chalked it up to grief, aging, a body that creaked heavier each morning. Adam had insisted she come, Jessica too. You shouldn't be alone, they said. You raised us. Let us take care of you now. Lauren didn't want to be a burden. She never did. But when she missed 2 doses of insulin in the same week, and her knees gave out on the stairs, she said yes, reluctantly, gratefully. Their home was big, glass walls that drank sunlight and a smart system that answered to everyone but her. It's just tech, they told her when she flinched at the door, locking behind her automatically. You'll get used to it. She did try. She made meals, though Jessica preferred takeout. She offered to drive the grandkids, but they had swim practice and screen time. She sat in the backyard, reading, knitting, playing word puzzles. When Adam and Jessica announced their 10-day trip to Hawaii, Lauren smiled. You two deserve it, she said. Don't worry. I'll water the plants. Deep down, she was secretly excited. 10 days in the house alone. Her way. No commenting voices. No schedules. She could play classical music again, leave her book open on the dining table, bake her late husband's favorite pie. 10 days of freedom. For the first 2 days, she did exactly that. She rearranged the kitchen so it made sense to her. She wore her old robes, danced just a little bit. When no one was watching, but someone was, she discovered the first camera inside a ceramic apple on the bookshelf. It fell while she dusted tiny lens. Red light blinking. She stared at it for a long time. Then came the others. Hidden in the smoke detector inside a decorative lamp tucked behind a vintage tea tin. Her chest tightened. Arms turned ice. But she didn't cry. Not Lauren. She turned on her father's old instincts instead. The same instincts that told her when a student was hiding overdue books. Beneath their coat, she searched the house top to bottom. She didn't touch the devices. Not yet. Instead, she opened Adam's sleek black laptop in his study. One password. Guess Evelyn, her granddaughter's middle name. The screen lit up with folders, basement footage, weeknight logs, behavioral patterns, pound. Her initials, every click scraped her heart. There were hours, days of footage. Lauren watering the plants, humming, eating toast, having full conversations with her dog-eared copy of Jane Eyre. Some files had audio from calls. Jessica's voice flattered the screen. She talks to herself, like all day. It's kinda cute. It's kinda creepy. Another file. Adam replying with a laugh. It's data. Anthropological gold. The worst was the folder marked Notes. Bullet points written with clinical detachment. 10:31 p.m. Excessive fidgeting with sweater hem anxiety. Spoke to framed photo for 2.5 minutes tonight. Baked pie from 1982 recipe book. Note, emotional trigger. Lauren's stomach flipped. It wasn't love that brought her here, she realized. It was curiosity. Control disguised as concern. The betrayal was cold, heavy, like old snow on her back. But beneath it all, something new simmered. Fury. She didn't scream, didn't accuse via voicemail. Instead, she acted. She began gathering proof. Flash drives, snapshots, timestamps. She even posed once in front of the lamp camera and mouthed the word smile. For the rest of their vacation, she played a part. She waved into the cameras, told stories aloud, spoke to her dead husband with exaggerated nostalgia. She peeled herself open, inch by inch, until the watchers could barely keep up. The night before Adam and Jessica returned, Lauren recorded a video of her own. She sat beneath a warm lamplight, wearing pearls she'd forgotten she owned. In the video, she didn't scold. She didn't plead. She spoke with the calm edge of decades lived and lessons learned. I raised a man, she said, not a researcher. I survived loss, war, childbirth, recession, 12 car batteries, 3 miscarriages, and a tumor the size of a walnut. And now I'm supposed to fear a camera in my sugar bowl. She paused. You wanted data. Here it is. I am not your subject. I am not your experiment. I am not forgettable. She ended with a smile, sharp, knowing. That's the footage worth keeping. The next morning she printed the photos, left a stack on the kitchen counter. USB marked in red. On top, her legal name written in ink. Next to it, a small sticky. Note, we need to talk, but not like this. Want to see how Lauren takes back her life? Hit that like button, subscribe, and don't miss the next chapter, where resistance becomes rediscovery. Lauren didn't wait for the door to open. The moment she heard the garage, she stepped outside. The sun was low, orange like the marmalade she used to make from scratch. Adam got out of the car first, stretching like he too was worn from the convenience of privilege. Jessica followed with her spotless sunglasses, fake laugh, and a suitcase Lauren had once gifted her for Christmas back when they were still pretending. Hey, Mom. Adam smiled, unsure. Welcome home, Lauren replied. She stepped aside. Let them pass like guests in her own life. There were no words that morning, just glances. Avoidance, a tight clench in Adam's jaw. Jessica hugged their youngest daughter with forced velocity, as if innocence could drown out discomfort. But Lauren knew silence better than anyone. It was never empty. It always meant something. The next few days played out like a wet cloth dragged over fresh dust. They pretended she didn't. At night, she could hear them whispering in their room, voices, muffled but urgent. Jessica's tone sharper than usual. Adam's more hesitant. On the third night, he knocked on her door. She was staring out the window, listening to wind cut through the trees like a language only she remembered. Hey, can we talk? About everything? Lauren turned slowly. He looked smaller than she remembered. Shoulders weren't as wide as the boy who once clung to her ankles during kindergarten drop-offs. He was a man now, father of 2, husband, owner of sleek devices. But Lauren remained a woman who remembered. Go ahead, she said gently. I never meant for you to feel used, Adam started. It was supposed to be like wellness feedback, adaptive monitoring, for safety. Lauren raised one brow. Is that what you call surveillance these days? He swallowed hard. Jessica thought if we kept track of routines, habits, we could understand how to help you better avoid stressors, track signs of decline early. She tilted her head and mocking me in a shared drive. Was that therapeutic too? Adam wilted. Didn't see those comments until afterwards. Mom, I didn't know it would go that far. But you allowed it, she said, voice even. Not a whisper, not a shout. You knew enough to lie. That's the measure of intent. They sat in that tension. The space between them now, thick with new truths. I want what's mine, she added. Financially, privacy-wise, legally. I gave up my home, my independence, my comfort. And I got diagnosis folders in return. Adam rubbed his forehead. We can talk. Work something out fairly. I already did, Lauren said. She handed him the manila envelope sitting beside her copy of Pride and Prejudice. Inside were notarized requests, listed demands with her lawyer's letterhead, boundaries, back pay for contributions and household labor, discontinuation agreements for monitoring systems, a list of bank transfers and timestamps showing her groceries, her prescriptions, her unpaid share of equity in their home. Adam glanced through the pages and froze. You ... hired Ron. He blinked. As in Ron Garland? From Dad's firm. Yes, she said. Turns out men reach retirement too. Ron was thrilled to call in a favor. For the first time, Adam looked cornered. Not angry, not outraged. Just ... found out. You didn't need to do all this, he murmured. Lauren stood. No, Adam, I needed to. 'Cause if I didn't, I'd start believing what Jessica's camera said about me, that I'm too far gone to protect my own name. For the next week, the house lived in limbo. Jessica avoided her. The kids didn't understand the shift. Lauren cooked silently, read late, watched robins hop across the fence like they were free, and knew it. She wondered how long she'd accepted, less just to make things easier for everyone else. She had given up on fair a long time ago. She traded selfhood for politeness, autonomy for gratitude, space for survival. But now, school was gathering. On Sunday, she visited the property written in her name, a tiny, aging chalet on the edge of the town by a stream she used to fish with. Her husband, the roof needed patching. The porch sagged like a heavy laugh, but the keys were hers, all hers. The floor creaked the way life should, imperfect, full of voice. There was space enough for a reading nook, a pot rack, a dog maybe? She unrolled a small rug, carried her worn armchair inside, and placed her favorite lamp beside it. When she turned it on, the bulb flickered like hope shaking itself awake, back at the house. Her presence felt ghostly, unbothered, a soft rebellion unfolding inch by inch. One morning, Jessica cornered her in the laundry room. I just want to say, Jessica began, arms crossed too precisely. I never meant any disrespect. It just ... it got out of hand. Lauren folded a towel, straightened the edges. You know what the worst part is, Jessica? She asked. Without looking up, Jessica stayed quiet. It's not your mocking. It's not the invasion. It's that. You forgot I could see. You built a system so sure of my invisibility, you didn't even hide the truth. Jessica bit her inner lip. I saw the paraphrased tags, the labels, the smug notes. You saw a woman who existed to just fill time. An extra. But this Lauren held the crisp white towel in her hands. Pressed flat by decades of purpose. This woman remembers everything, and she's done pretending she doesn't. That night, Lauren baked her last pie there, peach and cinnamon, just like her late husband liked. She set aside 2 slices for the grandchildren. Wrapped in foil, daughter bags were already downstairs, modest and full of essentials. Her laptop, her medication, her pearls. And that one photo from 1987, her holding Adam, face full of wonder. She left the house before sunrise. On the front table, beside where Jessica kept her decorative candles, Lauren left the USB once more. This time, it wasn't footage, it was her will, digitally notarized. Updated, clear dot. It named no one as caretaker. It stated her chalet as her full-time residence. It named her granddaughter Evelyn to inherit her journals. And a note in large font. Teach your children to listen to stories before they forget who told them. As she pulled away in the borrowed pickup truck, the one Adam never thought she'd actually use Lauren. Didn't cry. She'd done enough. Of that in the silence of their living room, while her image was being recorded from 6 corners of the house. Now, she pressed play on her husband's old playlist, Etta James, Stormy Weather. She sang. Even the clouds seemed to move aside. The first thing Lauren noticed was how loud true silence could be. Not the muted silence of a monitored room, but the deep, breathing kind. The kind that comes when the walls aren't listening, when your thoughts echo not from paranoia but from space. She let it in. Every creak of floorboards. Rustle of leaves against the window, kettle whistle rising in solitude. It was all hers now. Her loneliness, her time. Her breath, settling into the chalet, wasn't glamorous. There were drafts in the winter. The sink needed new plumbing. The rug curled at the corner and kept trying to trip her like it had something to prove. But she thrived. Bit by bit, she stitched herself back together, not as the mother, not the guest, not the observer in the background, but as Lauren. Just Lauren. She made rituals out of breathing again. Mornings became sacred. Wake with tea. Stretch in the garden. Write 3 lines in the old leather notebook her husband had once gifted her. Nothing is too small to remember. She hung wind chimes by the kitchen window, adopted an old gray cat from the shelter and named him Albie, short for albatross, because the first time she pet him, he hissed, then decided to nap on her foot for 2 hours. Mutual understanding. Her days became rhythm. Not habit born of surveillance, but pattern born of desire. She read real books, with underlines and folded corners. She ate dinner at 4 p.m. because it suited her and used the fancy teacups daily. Just despite the idea of occasions. Still, there were moments that ached. One evening, rain lashed against the windows, and Lauren made 2 cups of cocoa before realizing the other cup had no one to go to. She stared at it. That empty chair, that second spoon. Loss isn't always loud. Sometimes it's cocoa. No one drinks. She missed her grandchildren most. They were too young to call on their own. Jessica wasn't calling at all. And Adam. He sent 2 emails, short, businesslike, almost as if checking a box. But Evelyn had sent a drawing, a house with trees, a figure with white hair at the bottom. Grandma's new castle. Miss you. Lauren put it on the fridge and cried. Albie rubbed against her leg, unmoved, hungry. After a month, she started walking into town every Saturday, not to chase an agenda, but out of instinct, ritual, and the need for faces. People still saw her, but differently now. Some strangers smiled with vague recognition. One morning, a woman at the cafe, mid-sending mail, freckled, warm voice, opened conversation while Lauren waited for her tea. I've seen you near the stream, the woman said. Do you sketch too? Lauren blinked. No, I guess I just stop a lot to look. The woman introduced herself as Miriam, a local art teacher, soft-spoken, but quick to laugh. Lauren liked her immediately. For the first time in a while, she let someone new in. They started meeting on Saturdays, first for tea, then for walks. Miriam had a child, 8 years old, curious and obsessed with cats. Lauren shared Albie stories. They laughed a lot, like real laughter, not the strained kind that masks a deeper ache. During one walk, Lauren confessed in a quiet voice, I didn't realize how long I lived being grateful for breadcrumbs. Miriam nodded sometimes. We're taught that silence equals grace, she said. But silence can be a cage, too. Lauren paused. It startled her how right that sounded. One afternoon, while sorting through old papers, Lauren found a letter she had written herself on her 60th birthday. It's part of a wellness class she took before retirement. Write to your future self, it had instructed. The note read, I hope you're not just existing politely. I hope you still dance in the kitchen. I hope you laugh with your mouth open and let people see your hands when you talk. She held the letter for a full hour. Then she pinned it beside Evelyn's castle drawing. That night, she played music. Loud old jazz records her husband had loved. She swayed barefoot in the kitchen, snapping her fingers, brushing flour off her apron without apology. Albie meowed, judgment from the bookshelf. She didn't care. Months later, Miriam invited her to speak at a local community center storytelling night. Open mic. I think people need to hear your voice, she said. Lauren laughed, shrugged. I'm not a performer. But you've lived. That sentence filled her chest with something heavy. She signed up. The night of the event, the small room buzzed with warm light. Foldable chairs, paper cups of cider, Valley's college kids, old-timers who still carried pens in there. Front pockets when her name was called. She felt her knees tremble, but when she stepped up and saw the faces waiting, something anchored inside her. She didn't recite. She remembered. She told a story she'd never shared. About a day during her 3rd year of marriage when she almost left. How she packed 2 bags, drove 2 blocks, then saw a group of school kids crossing their street and realized she didn't want to leave. She wanted to be noticed, heard, not just needed. You can spend your whole life being this sturdy branch they all lean on, she said to the room, but one day you'll ask yourself, who holds you up when storms come? The room hushed. Somewhere. Someone whispered yes without meaning to. Lauren stepped down with slow grace, her hands shaking not from fear, but release. After the event, 3 women came to hug her. One of them was crying. You made me remember. My mother, the woman said, and how I don't want to be her, but at the same time, I want to find out what parts of her still live in me. That night, Lauren sat in her reading chair. The moon sat heavy above the pine trees. She lit a candle, no reason, just because. Am I finally whole? She whispered aloud. I'll be purred beside her. She answered herself, no, but I'm real. And real matters more. It was late autumn when Adam showed up at her doorstep. No call. No warning, just his gray SUV kicking up orange leaves. Headlights cutting through the fog like some metaphor she wasn't ready to read. Lauren was shelling walnuts in the kitchen. The knock at the door startled Albie enough to knock over a glass. Damn it, Cat! She opened the door with a towel still in her hands. There he stood, her son. 43 years of her life standing in a down vest and guilt. Hey, Mom, she inhaled, then let silence answer first. He held up a small bag. Thought you might want some of those weird cookies from Jensen's Diner. You used to like those, right? She looked at him, long and slow. The ones with the green frosting and no dignity? Adam gave a weak chuckle. Yeah, those. Lauren stepped aside. No invitation. But no door slammed either. Inside, her house carried the smell of nutmeg. And old books. Adam looked down at the well-worn rug, the teacup beside the recliner. The photo of his father still hanging softly askew near the bookshelf. You've really made it yours, he murmured. Yes, Lauren said evenly. Returning to her chair without offering more, he sat across from her like a stranger. For a beat, neither of them spoke. Albie stood on the windowsill, tail flicking, watching Adam as if privately judging him on Lauren's behalf. I've been thinking a lot, Mom, he said finally. And I keep landing on one thing. She raised an eyebrow. You didn't just leave. You escaped. His voice didn't rise. If anything, it softened, meaning it felt strangely like forgiveness. Lauren tapped her nail against the ceramic of her cup. Took you 6 months and a lawyer to figure that out? No, he said. It took growing up. That earned her full gaze. Adam leaned back in the chair, rubbing the bridge of his nose. I was so wrapped up in doing what felt smart, what was innovative, or practical, that I forgot basic human respect. What it means to make someone feel safe, heard. Lauren set down her cup and folded her hands. I was the noise outside the algorithm. He swallowed. Jessica's not talking to me much lately, he said. She thinks I let you win, that I'm being dramatic. Lauren tilted her head. Does she still work in behavioral analytics? Yeah, he said, full time. Now got promoted. She'll do well, Lauren said flatly. She has nerves of wire and a soul she'll outsource to a spreadsheet. Adam blinked, then surprisingly laughed quietly, more with his eyes than sound. I came because Evelyn asks for you every night. Draws your name in handwriting that would terrify a priest. That cracked something, just a little, she remembers. Even after all this, Lauren asked. Her voice cracked before she caught it. She never stopped. We had to tell her you weren't feeling well, just to get her to sleep that first week after you left. Lauren's heart climbed to her throat. Is she okay? Adam nodded. Still. Making bad jokes and wearing that cape you knit her last Christmas. A faint smile pulled Lauren's lips, but it didn't last. "I don't want to be a holiday figure, Adam," she said. "I won't return to be Grandma Lauren. Seasonal appearance, good for hugs and hot cocoa. I want something real, consistent, honest." He nodded slowly. "I don't blame you for leaving," he said. "I blame myself for realizing too late what you gave up for all of us. You raised me not to be a taker, and somehow I became one." Lauren let that linger. Then, softly, "You were a boy clamoring to be impressive. And you married someone who sees people as case studies. I suppose, ... I stopped being Lauren to you long ago." He looked ashamed. It was honest. For once, unfiltered. "I don't expect you to jump back in," Adam added quickly. "But maybe we could start with a visit. Just an hour. Just Evelyn." Lauren didn't answer immediately. Instead, she stood, walked into a side room, returned with a box wrapped in brown paper and twine. "She's been asking when you'd come. You know," she said, handing him the box. "So Albie and I made her a present. It's a journal. The inside says, 'Write who you are before someone else tells you.'" Adam's mouth softened. Eyes stung just enough. "I want her to keep her fire," Lauren added. "Even when the people around her are too busy constructing cages out of data points." Adam stood, held the box close. "I'll bring her next weekend," he said softly. "If you're ready." "I've been ready," Lauren whispered. "I just stopped waiting for permission." When he left, Lauren stood at the door, Albie beside her, both silent. They watched as the SUV disappeared into the fog. She didn't cry, but she did find herself humming aloud. "That old jazz tune again? It's the one her husband would play during uncertain moments." She poured a second cup of tea. This time she knew exactly who it was for. Saturday dawned gray and soft, light slanting through the forest like an old memory. Lauren had been up since 5. She'd baked cinnamon scones. Not because a child would ask for them, but because her granddaughter should know the smell of love. Every corner of the house whispered welcome. Blankets folded, tea cooling on the table. Albie stationed near the door like a doorman with whiskers. At 10:07, the SUV pulled in. Lauren didn't wait. She opened the door just as Evelyn's foot hit the gravel path. The girl 7, limbs 2, fast for her body, curls tucked into a side braid, saw her and froze. For a moment, nothing moved. Then Evelyn dropped her backpack and launched forward, arms wide like windmill wings, crying out a single note, "Grandma." The hug knocked the air from Lauren's chest and filled it all over again. Evelyn squeezed like the world had right-sized again between her elbows. "Oh, sweet pea, I missed your whole soul," Lauren whispered into her ear. Evelyn pulled back, teary, radiant. "I made like 27 drawings for you." "You better have," Lauren smiled. "I framed the last one." Adam stood a few steps behind, hands in his pockets. "We'll be back in 2 hours," he said, with the caution of a man not sure if his welcome extended to him. She brought her sketch pad. "Says Grandma's house has the best lines." Lauren glanced his way. "It does." Before he left, Adam crouched to Evelyn's level and said, "Be respectful, okay? And don't make Albie mad. He's, sensitive." "Daddy," Evelyn rolled her eyes. "He's a cat." Lauren watched them with care. Memory, distance, love, all of it woven into her glance. When the car pulled away, Evelyn turned and said very seriously, "Want to see my poems?" 3 hours passed like magic. They built a blanket fort, drew scenes of imaginary cities. Lauren told short stories about growing up without microwaves or emojis. Evelyn gasped at least 4 times. "I'd have died," she said once, sincerely. Lauren laughed until she wheezed. They lit a candle and wrote 3 wishes on paper stars. Evelyn said hers aloud. 1. More chocolate. 2. Albie becomes immortal. 3. Grandma never ever moves again. Lauren blinked fast, hiding the shiver in her hands. After lunch, they sat quietly on the porch. Leaves swayed. The sound of Evelyn's pencil on paper matched Lauren's spoon stirring tea. "Daddy's been sad sometimes," Evelyn said suddenly. Lauren looked up. Sad how? He stares at his phone but doesn't laugh. And Mommy closes doors really hard. It makes my stomach all knotted. Lauren's breath caught. She didn't want to explain adult pain. She didn't want to turn her granddaughter into a bridge between fractured hearts. But she also knew that pretending did no one favors. I'm sorry, sweetheart, she said gently. That must feel scary. Evelyn nodded. It's like, when my coloring markers dry out and no one notices. Lauren reached over, took her hand. You are not a forgotten marker, she said. You matter exactly as you are. Even when the room is loud. Even when no one's looking. Evelyn's eyes filled, not with tears, but with recognition. Something clicked. Then she asked, do you still love Mommy? Lauren stared at the forest a moment. Tiny birds flitted by like punctuation marks in the silence. I love who she was. When I believed she saw me, Evelyn tilted her head, confused. Lauren tried again. I don't hate her. I just don't let her write my story anymore. Evelyn was quiet, then whispered, you're brave. No, baby, Lauren said, holding her hand like a truth. I just stopped living in other people's mirrors. Later, as Adam returned, Evelyn clung a bit longer to the goodbye hug. Pressing her cheek against Lauren's sweater, I'm going to write about chateaus, canned teacups, and ghost cats, she mumbled. But not sad ghosts, powerful ones. Lauren kissed her head, pressed the old drawing of the castle into Evelyn's backpack. Add this to your collection. And remember, your pen writes louder than silence. Adam stood by the car, quieter this time. Lauren walked over, arms crossed, strong, gentle. She's everything, he said, nodding toward his daughter. And so are you. Lauren gave him a long look. Don't wait for your daughter to disappear. Before you realize where she learned it. He flinched a little. I won't, he said. They didn't hug, but they didn't need to. Not yet. Before he left. He paused and added, Jessica's family offered her a grant to build a study on generational behavior. She turned it down. Lauren arched one brow. Why? Said she needed time to study honesty instead. Lauren blinked. That was unexpected. Adam smiled faintly. You changed more than your address, Mom. As they drove away, Lauren leaned on the porch railing. Wind lifting the corner of Evelyn's forgotten sketch paper, a half-finished drawing of Albie in full warlord pose. She smiled. She was not whole, but she was brave, and bravery builds its own family, the kind you choose, the kind that remembers. The snow came early that year. Quiet, steady flakes dusted the roof of Lauren's chalet, like time laying its gentle hand on everything, not to erase, but to soften. Inside, the glow of lamps and the scent of orange peel and cloves filled the air. Albie snored from his blanket nest atop a poetry book he wasn't supposed to sleep on. Lauren sat at her writing desk. A fresh journal opened to the first page. She hadn't written in weeks, not since that last visit from Evelyn. Too much was shifting inside. Some changes are like earthquakes. Others are like gentle tilts of the planet, slowly redirecting thought, meaning, direction. A knock came. She looked up, heart jolting, but it wasn't Adam. It was Miriam. Wool scarf. Cheeks red from cold, holding a canvas under one arm. I wasn't. Sure, you'd be in, Miriam said. I own the place. Lauren smiled. I tend to be. Miriam came inside, shaking the snow from her coat. I made something for the center, but I think it's actually for you. She unwrapped the canvas. It was a painting, not fully photorealistic, but tender, textured. It showed Lauren sitting under the oak tree behind the house, wind in her white curls. Evelyn beside her on a blanket mid-laugh. Albie lurked suspiciously in the high grass like a feline garden guardian. Lauren studied it, heart full and wordless. I didn't know anyone saw us that day, she whispered. I think you've been seen more than you realize, Miriam said. You just had to find the right light. Lauren blinked quickly. Then carefully took the canvas, leaned it beside her favorite lamp. You know, said. When I was 50, I thought 60 would make me invisible, but 70 is around the corner now, and I've never felt this grounded. You wear dignity well? Miriam smiled. Not like armor, like fabric. Later, when Miriam left, Lauren stared out the window to the trees. The snow was stronger now. Frost spidered across the corners of the panes. She thought of all the women she had known, her mother, her aunts, her old co-workers, women who had vanished silently into the roles they were given. How many had given their entire hearts without ever once seeing their name on the door? Lauren whispered into the quiet, "I see you." She wasn't speaking just to them. She was speaking to herself. The next week, an envelope arrived in the mail, thick parchment, gold seal from the university's community program, an invitation, guest speaker, the age of rediscovery, a conversation on visibility, storytelling, and the wisdom of choice. She laughed softly as she read the line, because some stories get richer with each year, like wine or women. Accepted Albie would have to nap alone that afternoon, that spring. Lauren planted jasmine on her porch. The children from town started calling her Miss Bennett. One little boy even asked if she was a witch, the good kind who always carried. Tian knew the names of birds, she said. I'm not magical. I'm finally honest. And somehow, that felt like magic enough. On the summer solstice, a package arrived. It was from Evelyn. Inside, a small notebook with glittery stickers, messy ink, and a drawing on the first page of a woman in a blue dress. Hands wide like she was holding up the sky. Title: Things Grandma Taught Me. Page 1. How to Be Alone Without Being Lonely. Page 2. Why Brave Isn't Loud. Page 3. Where to Find Your Real Self When the World Forgets to. Ask. Lauren touched the page like it was sacred. Her eyes welled not with hurt, but with awe. I did it, she whispered. Not revenge. Not rejection. Restoration. She didn't just win. She returned to herself, and better still, she left a trail. For Evelyn, for Miriam. For every woman who still feels like background noise in her own life. The next night, she hosted a small dinner. 6 women, all over 50. Each with voices that shook the room with memory. They laughed, cried, danced to Billie Holiday barefoot. With wine-stained lips and unapologetic hips, Lauren looked around her kitchen, her little, sacred, untidy, free kitchen, and whispered, "This is mine, not given, it's not borrowed, not asked for. Claim. To those out there, women past 60, it's past 70, past the limit of society's spotlight. Listen closely. Your story isn't over. It's not behind you. It's waiting in your hands, in your words, in your spine. Take it back, right? Where you end and where you begin, because time doesn't erase women like Lauren. It just finally gives them space to speak. If Lauren's story moved you, share it with someone you love. Let it remind them that it's never too late to start again, to set boundaries, to demand visibility, or to reclaim joy. Be sure to like, subscribe, and comment. I see you, so more women can be reminded of their own worth, voice, and right to begin again. Thank you for being here. And never forget, brave isn't loud. Brave is choosing yourself gently every single day.